I'm happy to present you the project Hotmaps, where we're working on heating and cooling, open source tool for mapping and planning of the energy system. Before I focus on this mapping and planning aspects, I want to share with you our motivation why we think another tool, another toolbox is required. So the Hotmaps toolbox, our aim is that we develop, demonstrate and disseminate a toolbox to support public authorities, energy planners, energy agencies in their strategic heating and cooling planning. And we try to do this on regional, national levels and also in line with EU policies. Long sentence, a lot of information in it. So for a better understanding, we tried to divide an overview of the project in 3 pillars. So pillar 1 of our project is focusing on a default data set for EU 28. So we're really aiming to provide this data set with all required data for energy planning or heating and cooling planning for all cities and countries in the European Union. Pillar 2 is ambitious, we come to it later. Pillar 2 is on developing energy system models and developing planning guidelines and scenarios, and also do it in a tool, so do the IT implementation and visualization. And pillar 3 is a strong connection with the target group. Although I'm a representative from the university, we really try to work together with our target group, these public authorities or energy agencies or energy planners in the cities and regions, and do the testing with them together, the demonstration and also the capacity building. So summarized, the toolbox will be user-driven, so developed in strong collaboration with these 7 pilot areas. It will be open source, so everyone will be able to use it without requiring any additional software. It's available in the internet, it's a web-based tool, and it will be EU 28 compatible, so everyone can use it for his region, municipality, area, whatever. Before we come to small insights in this mapping and planning part, an overview about our partners and especially the pilot areas. So we're really working together with, for example, Aalborg in the north of Europe, with San Sebastian in the west of Europe, or Bistrița in the east. So we really try to identify the user needs and to develop something what is required from the users. So we are all so happy to get your input on this topic. Mapping, EU 28 default database. Yeah, it's ambitious to generate this database, and we know that one data set doesn't fit for everyone. So our scope is to provide the data or to integrate all required data in one database. So we are collecting raw data, where not all information are available. We develop or use some estimation tools, and then we integrate all this data on building stock, like the composition of building stock, data on space heating, cooling, and domestic hot water demand, climate context, but also the supply potentials like renewable energy sources and potentials or hourly load profile. And we integrate this in one database. I want to give you some insights in this heating and cooling demand, especially heat density maps. We already implemented them. All of you know why heat density maps are essential. We need to identify the location of the heat demand and also identify some major saving potentials for refurbishment, but also the identification of this potential, we already heard it today, supports the integrated energy planning and the combination of demand and supply. And this heat density map is the basis for the energy planning tools we also are going to develop in the toolbox. Some more general information. Our input is a heat demand. It's modeled. We have a lot of experience at our institute for the past years on NUTS 3 level, and we then try to disaggregate it on hectare level. And the first result of this heat density map is already available. You can download it from GitLab, can test it for your region. We would be happy if you provide us feedback and give us some critical feedback as well. Here you see the heat density map for Vienna. It's on hectare level. It's a little bit higher as it really is because it's not the city border, it's just a rectangle border, so some neighboring areas are also there. And everyone can do this mapping thing. But just mapping just gives you some insights about the current situation, and we also try to provide these planning tools for the energy planners. So planning tools, we are currently working on it, so it's a work in progress, and I can just give you some insights. So in this planning thing, we have a focus on the assessment of central versus decentral heat supply. So you can assess areas where potential district heating areas could be based on the heat density, but also based on supply potentials. And also for the decentral heating options, we try to implement some economic assessment tools. In previous projects, we also focused on district heating expansion planning and identification of the potential and economic calculation. So again, in the upper left, you see figures for an area in Austria, sorry for the German, where we really try to identify heat densities for district heating connections. We try to define distribution costs. So you see it on the upper right or bottom left, where we also consider the spatial location of the distribution costs. And we also provide possibilities to define future potentials for district heating. Another example, we also try to identify economic viable district heating regions, so also considering the concurrence or the connection with the gas grid. In Vienna, we know we have 2 grid-bound energy carriers, so our tool will also be able to support planners to find areas where it's better to use district heating than gas. So it's some call it energy zoning. So well, here we are focusing with our tool on this mapping and planning. So we try to provide you a EU28 default data set for mapping and getting some insights in the current situation. If you have better data available, you can update this data just for your use. You do not have to share it with other people, so it's if there are data confidential issues, and then you can do your planning. And I think it's a minor contribution that we try to support you in these heating and cooling strategies. Hotmaps project started 1 year ago. We're mainly working on mapping, so if you follow us on the website, you get updates regarding the tool and you can use it, or just ask us, we can provide you a current link to the preliminary prototype of the tool and you can test it for your area. So, to come to the next session, I'll stop my presentation here and thank you for your attention.